The Chinese delegation has noted the report by the UNHRC on advice and technical assistance for the government of Sri Lanka on promoting reconciliation and accountability. China welcomes the efforts by Sri Lanka to implement the recommendations of the Lessons Learned and the Reconciliation Commission and to formulate a national plan of action. We commend the government for the great progress made in resettling the IDPs, enhancing infrastructure development, and improving people's lives. We support the country in its unremitting efforts in promoting and protecting human rights and achieving national reconciliation. The report of the UNHRC hasn't reflected fully and objectively these positive developments, thus China expresses its concern. China commends the Sri Lanka government for its efforts to enhance cooperation with the UN Human Rights Mechanism, received a visit from the UNHRC, actively engage with the UPR mechanism and implement the accepted recommendations. Mr. President, Sri Lanka faces such major issues as domestic reconciliation, peace consolidation, and economic development. China calls on the international community to support the government in its efforts to promote reconstruction, economic development, and national reconciliation, and allow it time and space. China calls on the UNHRC and relevant parties to abide by the mandate accorded by relevant resolutions and based on full consultations with the Sri Lanka government, provided with constructive assistance. Thank you.
Resolution 19.2, adopted in 2012, requested the office, in consultation with and with the consent of the government of Sri Lanka, to provide technical assistance and advice to implement the recommendations of the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission. However, and most regrettably, the report that has been presented today oversteps the mandate laid out in that aforementioned resolution. The report contains clearly arbitrary, intrusive, and politically oriented recommendations and pronouncements. What is even more alarming is the fact that it does not give due credit to Sri Lanka for the significant progress achieved in its process of national reconciliation. Mr. President, some posit that the treatment of Sri Lanka and resolutions on this country in the Council are aimed at enhancing dialogue and cooperation with the government of Sri Lanka. Such arguments are not credible. If this were truly the case, such people would be satisfied with the involvement and willingness to engage in cooperation shown by the Sri Lanka authorities in this Council. It is difficult to find a country that has provided more information and displayed more wish to dialogue than Sri Lanka has. In addition to the many meetings and the wealth of information provided by Sri Lanka, there are other examples of cooperation, such as the invitation to the High Commissioner to visit the country, which is still pending thanks to the stance of the office. Mr. President, Cuba will continue supporting the efforts made by the government of Sri Lanka to promote and protect human rights. We shall strive to achieve true cooperation. One can never move towards cooperation without the consent and commitment of the concerned state. The response to a clear resolve to engage in commitment and to work with the Council can not mean singling someone out for statement. Thank you very much.